This is the New Perspective Podcast with your hosts Kyle Cable and Nate Clark. In this episode, we bring on Austin Siewert, somebody who at age 15 started a landscaping company. He went on to sell that at 20, and then his sophomore year in college, he bought a duplex. That's right, a duplex sophomore year in college. Austin definitely has a new perspective on life. Take a listen, as you're not going to want to miss out on this conversation.
We're just trying to build a network for ourselves, and it was funny, we were talking to Dave Scogan, and he had said, this whole New Perspective podcast thing could in a year not even be there anymore. But the best thing that could happen is you guys met people, you guys network, and you have a bigger network because of it, and your personal brand is a lot better than it was. So it's a good excuse to talk to people, and definitely excited that we got to have you on and talk to you here today.
Absolutely.
Nate has some things, but you started a landscaping business when you were 15.
I did.
When you were 20. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Basically, kind of all throughout high school, I guess when I was really young, I always loved to work. And my mom puts in videos, like old videos of me when I was little, and usually kids are playing in the sandbox and stuff like that. And I had a little pretend lawnmower, and I'd go mow the lawn next to my dad. And instead of playing in the sandbox, I go dig holes and do stuff like that. I just love to work, and I don't know what it is. That's just kind of in my blood. So throughout high school, I was working for a snowmobile and motorcycle shop and doing details on bikes and sleds and stuff like that, getting paid minimum wage. My manager would get mad when I'd go take the weekend to go snowmobiling. I'm 14 years old, I'm going to take the weekend and go do what I want, making minimum wage.
Right.
And I just really didn't like somebody telling me how I have to build my schedule around them.
We think the same. It's so funny that you say that.
So I kind of started cutting grass on the side using my dad's mower, and there was my first two accounts were on Phantom Lake and McGuanago, right next to each other. They actually started out as one, and it was a friend of a friend. They live in Illinois. It's a rental property. They rent it out during the summer, so they're not coming up there all the time. They need somebody to take care of it. So I did. They paid me $30 to cut the grass. I used their mower, and then the neighbor came over, and I started cutting theirs, and then the other neighbor came over, and I started doing a little landscaping, some mulch, and stuff like that for them. And I thought, might as well.
There's something here, yeah.
There's something here. My uncle, who owned a landscaping company when he was younger, for a long time, when we started talking about price and what I'm charging, and he's like, "You need to be charging a lot more." And I'm like, no, nobody's gonna pay that. And it's pretty amazing what you can charge landscaping. Not ripping people off, but that's just what the market is. You can go make $2-3 grand in a day. There's not many. You got to work your butt off for it.
Oh yeah.
But there's not many other things that will pay you that good of money, and without that much training, you don't have to go to school.
Without somebody telling you what to do on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
I was working way more than I was working at my previous job. It's not the amount of time you're working is a lot more, but it's on your own terms. And I really, really enjoyed it. I made enough that I was able to pay for school and sell it and purchase the duplex that I bought my sophomore year in college. So
that's probably what we're going to move into next. When I think you had invited me to like your page that you just started and stuff like that. And when I saw it, I kind of started going through it and looked in the bio, and then I was reading through it. I'm like, this guy seems pretty successful. Then all of a sudden I read purchase duplex sophomore year in college. I'm like, all right, I need to message this guy. This kind of is a different perspective, different mindset. You don't see this all the time. We need to talk to this guy on our podcast.
Yeah.
So that's when I reached out. But so talk about kind of how that all came about. How did you obtain that, at such a young age?
Sure. I knew I kind of wanted to move on from the college life. I really enjoyed living with my roommates before, and we had a really good time, but living with 5 other guys, it was fun, but I was ready to move on. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I know I didn't want to go kind of the same thing of working for yourself. I didn't want to be paying somebody else's mortgage. I might as well. As a first-time home buyer, you can get 3.5% down on a place, which is what I did. I didn't have a ton of money to put down, but you don't need a ton of money for your first home. So I lived in a duplex, and I bought the duplex. I'm living in the top. I got a roommate, and I'm renting out the bottom, so I'm living for free. The numbers just work, you know, rather than going paying $500-600 a month for rent. And paying your landlord's mortgage.
I think so. When I talk to, because I have a roommate who's looking to kind of get into that. His mom actually owns a ton of properties, local properties she rents out to college students.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, I'm like, I had kind of had the same idea. I'm like, well, it makes sense because if I'm paying, we have a rent and I have a rent. Mm-hmm. If I just get a mortgage and it's $1,000, $1,200, and I just have people come live with me, help me pay the mortgage, like it seems like that's what I should be doing. Like it seems realistic.
You know, there's benefits to both, and there's a lot of people that I listen to that say don't buy a house if you're not ready, and there's a lot of truth to that because, maybe your mortgage might be paid for by your roommates and stuff like that, but what if the roof goes? What if you need a new water heater, furnace, stuff like that? You got to have a little extra cash sitting around just in case as an emergency fund for that. So it can turn bad in a hurry if you're not smart about it, but it's definitely a great opportunity for somebody who's prepared to do that.
Yeah, I'm just curious on what exposed you to the idea of getting into real estate in the first place, because a lot of sophomore college students aren't thinking about that.
Yeah. I can't say there was one thing that just clicked and I'm going to do this, but I don't know if you guys know Dave Ramsey. Listen to Dave Ramsey at all?
I have a presentation at 3:55 and I actually talk about him in the presentation too. So, of course, he's awesome.
Dave's the man.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you know how he does his millionaire segments where he goes and
him and Chris Hogan, I think they usually do together. Yeah.
Commonality among that, I was listening to these guys and listening to all these different millionaires, and obviously everybody wants to be a millionaire someday.
Yeah, who doesn't?
And you start to think and you try to pinpoint commonalities between every person,
right.
And almost every single one was involved in investing in real estate one way or another, whether they had a couple different properties that they were renting out, or they had apartment complexes, or whatever it was, but that's a commonality that was among almost every single one of those millionaires was investing in real estate. So if you want to be like somebody, copy them and do what they're doing. It's not rocket science, you know?
That's the second person that has said two things. Copy somebody and it's not rocket science. Dave Scogan said that. He goes, we literally, in his first couple sentences, he goes, I just want to say something. I'm the king of stealing ideas. I think we all need to, because someone's success is something that I can bring into my own life and implement. And then he says, all the time he says, it's not rocket science. This stuff's not rocket science.
Right.
But I agree 100%.
You know, starting out now as a real estate agent, what do? Go call up the top 5 most successful real estate agents in the area and talk to them. See what they're doing. Copy them. Do it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yes, there's some, it takes a while to build a network and to meet people and have a referral business, stuff like that. But if there's somebody you want to be like, just go talk to them.
Right.
Go knock on the door.
I think we're so afraid to do that. And I think the people that really separate themselves, and people aren't willing to understand this and actually do this, but the ones that really separate themselves are the ones that are willing to go the extra mile. Dave Scogan talked about how he would go into Woodman's and wear a hat and sunglasses on Sunday and see what they did well. But then he would go in turn and take that and copy them.
Yeah.
It's not illegal to do that. It's finding your competitive advantage and utilizing it to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so obvious to do, but people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, what he said too is a lot of people don't care enough to actually even do that, to be proactive about it and do that.
You have to want it.
And you mentioned even before we started this podcast, before we turned the cameras on, is start with why. Mm-hmm. Like, why are you doing something? Like, it has to be deep. It has to be strong enough to where if you like hit adversity or, you know, maybe things aren't going the way that you want them to, okay, why are you doing it? If that's not stronger than the adversity that you hate, you're not going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you know, there's nothing wrong. Some people want to go to college and find a corporate job and work 9 to 5 and spend the rest of the night with their family and have a nice house and all these things, which is great, you know. That's just not in my blood. That's not what I see myself doing. So
not for everybody.
It takes a different type of person, and it's not, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Yeah. And I think you either know or you don't. If you're an entrepreneur, you can't kind of half-ass go at it.
Right.
You kind of know this is what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you talk about it because it's funny, because every entrepreneur, somebody who's in some kind of business aspect in their life, you look back at when they were younger, you kind of see that like, oh yeah, I wanted to be in landscaping, or I was trying to work and make money. Yeah. It's funny because like I was the kid like making lemonade with my sister on the corner, and people would drive by, and the cute little kids, and of course people would stop. But it was, you kind of have it in your blood, and you can see it from a younger age. and then over time it kind of develops, and obviously it's happening for you where you just know that you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to do that, you don't want to work 9 to 5, you know that. It's not something you learn. I think you just know it.
That's definitely true. That's not saying that somebody that's out there that's really struggling or going through a hard time and that they can't turn their life around and go do something like this. We're in America. It's possible that anybody can do it.
Well, look at LHI, Don Weber. He came back from the military and he was homeless for a few years. And I don't know, I think Chicago, but then he ended up coming back here. And now look at him. I mean, he's built LHI. He's rebuilt downtown La Crosse to make it what it is. He's invested money into the football stadium here with Dave Scogan. And anybody else who was a part of that. But you look at somebody who it wasn't all going for him, and all of a sudden he just, one day was probably like, I need to do something. I'm already at rock bottom. I can't go any lower. The only way I'm looking is up. So I think that's a unique perspective, so to say.
New perspective.
It's funny, isn't it funny? It happens all the time where I'm able to put that in there, and I'm like, God, that sounded perfect.
Well, it's so many, we talk about it too. We see it all over the place.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's like, we'll be texting each other.
He'll send me a Snapchat of a picture on some newsletter or some headline, and it'll literally say, a new perspective, find your new perspective.
Or just other captions or something that other people say. And it's just very subtle, but it's oh.
I'll be standing, doing something, and all of a sudden somebody behind me will say perspective, and my head just whips around.
It's funny. Catchy. It's a good name.
It's funny because it's always been like that. People have probably said the word perspective, but now I'm focusing on that kind of stuff, and I think that's what's really unique is when we start doing something like this, you start focusing on. It doesn't need to be the right things. We could be saying the wrong things, but the good thing is that we're doing something. Putting ourselves out there, and I think we're a little bit vulnerable in some of the stuff we talk about. But that's okay because I think once we're vulnerable is when things start to happen in a positive way.
People can relate to that stuff.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about from where you're at right now and to where you want to go. What are the steps that you want to take? Where do you see yourself in maybe 5 to 10 years from now?
Well, just starting out as a new agent in La Crosse, definitely going to take some time to build that business, and that's definitely going to take some time. I mean, my ultimate goal is to go from an agent to a landlord to a real estate investor, where somebody else is taking care of fixing the toilet when it breaks and cutting the grass, stuff like that. Initially, it's going to take time. But end goal is to be an investor and be able to invest in different markets and build bigger buildings and do some development, stuff like that.
So initially when you bought your first duplex that you're living in right now, who was handling the maintenance on that? Was that you?
Yeah, with my background with landscaping and my grandpa was a carpenter, so I worked with him when I was little. I'm kind of a
good skills
jack of all trades.
It is the right, because instead of finding someone to freelance come in and do that. You know what to do.
If you don't know how to do the stuff, you really it would not be affordable to buy a home than to pay somebody else to do it. So
I think that's a really key statement there. Definitely, if you don't have those hard skills like that, it's something to think about. I know my buddy whose mom owns the real estate stuff here in La Crosse and rents for college kids. She asked some of her people, her skilled labor that worked on their houses, if her son Zach could go and learn some of the skills himself, because it's a really good skill to have, especially if you're going to get in real estate.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah,
we built at that duplex, we built a garage in the backyard this summer, so that was pretty cool. Had my grandpa come up for a week, and my dad and a couple other friends come and help, so pretty cool. I enjoy doing that kind of stuff. But end goal, I don't want to be out sweating at 90 degrees building garages, cutting grass,
So obviously you kind of just started. So what were you doing before? You were.
I was working for a ministry called Kicking Bear.
Okay.
So Kicking Bear is a nationwide ministry founded by Ray Howell, and we go around the country putting on youth camps and youth hunts and taking underprivileged and at-risk kids in the outdoors and showing them that God's got a purpose for them, and the purpose is for good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you were doing that, and then now you're transitioning into kind of this real estate thing. The One Trust, correct? Is that?
Yep, One Trust.
So I saw it. So you invited me to like the page. I liked it.
Thank you.
And then so I was wondering. So as you kind of build your brand in real estate, what are some ways that you're going to be kind of have a competitive advantage on everyone else that's flooding the lacrosse community?
Sure. I just think kind of where I'm at in life. I'm young. I'm ready. I'm a hustler. I'm ready to go. And if somebody wants to buy a house or if they want to sell their house, nobody's going to outcompete me. They're just not. There's a lot of veteran real estate agents in this area that have built a referral network like I talk about, and they do a really awesome job, but they're kind of winding down the end of their career, and they do stuff here and there. I'm ready to go,
Well, I saw in your bio you also had said, like, a couple things, and you'd be like, "I'm your guy," and then something else. I'm your guy.
I did read that too.
I really liked this, and then it said, if you're looking for someone to take some quick pics of your house and stick a sign in your yard, I'm not your guy. And after reading your bio, like, I just said, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but this guy is coming to talk to us because it's cool. But
well, I appreciate you guys having me here. It's an honor to be invited to something where you guys like Dave Scogan and to be on the same podcast. So very cool. I mean,
what I was going to also get into is it's really good marketing for you too. I mean, obviously once you make the video and edit, we'll be like, hey, like if you put it out there, and I think when people view it, it also looks good for you because you're taking the time to come talk to two college kids and don't know.
Sure.
I
was just a college kid too, so
you get it. But so I was going to say, like, have you thought about? I see a lot of people. We know a guy named Justin Spalding. He works. He's in the Milwaukee area, I think. He went to Dubuque. Our head coach, Mike Schmidt, put us on to him, and because he coached at Dubuque with Justin Spalding. So he's in real estate. He kind of is a guy that I think you're looking to be like. I think you should check him out too, Justin Spalding. So what he does, I think that's really effective, is he uses his phone or camera and he creates content, real estate content that he puts out there for people. I started following him, and I think it was like early December, and he had like 2,500 followers. And today, I just looked actually, he has 10,000 and like 500.
Damn.
Because he's just put out really good content, really quality content every day, and it's something that he did every day, even if it was a couple small things. But he found a way to use social media to his advantage that I think that so many people are willing to grasp because we're always on our phone. It doesn't matter what time of the day.
Everybody's addicted.
I mean, but I think it's a good addiction, and for some people it's a bad addiction.
Could be a good addiction.
Okay, so, but
I mean, it's good for business if you're gonna build that image. Yeah, you can definitely use that to your advantage, 100%.
Yeah. So he's really used that effectively, and I think that I'm not saying like, oh, you should do that, but like it's something to definitely look into because I think people hold on to it.
Absolutely.
Does he just have a personal account, or does he have a business account as well?
He uses his personal Instagram account and stuff like that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll check him out for sure.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, but I think it's so efficient to kind of use social media to your advantage, especially when it comes to real estate. People are always going to be looking for somewhere to live. It's funny, I talked to somebody when I was working out today. We talked about, I was talking about how I was going to meet with you, and we were going to talk about real estate and stuff like that, and how you had got your first property when you were in college, a sophomore. He's like, man, that's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it is. But we talked about how I lost my train of thought. I was talking
about
how he bought his duplex at sophomore year.
Yeah, I know, but we were talking. Oh my god! I was just so passionate. I was like,
we'll come back to that. Now. I'm kind of curious on your experience at this ministry, because that is a completely different avenue than real estate.
Yeah.
But I feel like you learned a lot of things there, just like people skills and like just cool things. So I kind of want you to go over that and your experience there.
It's easy for somebody to say that God's calling them to a ministry. For those that are Christians, we understand that we want to try to listen to what God's calling is for us. And before Kicking Bear, I felt as I was being called a Kicking Bear. It's a little harder for somebody to say that they're being called out of ministry. It just is. It just doesn't sound. Why would God call somebody away from ministry?
Right.
And that's just kind of how I personally felt. Kicking Bear is an awesome, awesome ministry, and there was no personal issues or anything like that. But I felt like my purpose was something else. And maybe that God putting Kicking Bear in my life during that season, there was a purpose for that too. And it brought me humility. And I met some really, really, really awesome people through that ministry. It was an awesome experience. I wouldn't take it back at all. So
that's super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I can't think of what I was talking about, but I don't know. You know what the cool thing is it's authentic and organic, and we're going to capture it, and I'm not going to edit it out at all because you know what? We all mess up and whatever. Yeah. But no, we really appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us. Absolutely. I mean, I'm just excited. After we finish talking to everybody, we just say, hey, like, it's cool because you don't know where a relationship like this could go in 5-10 years. Like, you know, I think that's cool. And it's
selling
just
you guys houses.
There you go. Yeah. So I think it's a good connection to have, and every connection we make is one that we didn't have yesterday.
Great.